Good evening, everyone. We're just coming out of a closed session where our meeting was called to order. So we're going to begin tonight with a special public hearing on the 2018-2019 Annual District Report of Violence and Vandalism and Harassment, Intimidation, and Bullying. And for that, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Earl.
Good evening, everyone. All right, this evening I'd like to share one of two annual student safety reports on all acts of violence and vandalism, including HIV, which occurred in the school district during the previous year. In addition, school districts in New Jersey are required to designate the first week of October, first full week of October as a week of respect, and the third week of October as School Violence Awareness Week. During those weeks, schools must provide an opportunity for students and parents, school district staff, law enforcement personnel to discuss methods for keeping schools safe from violence, to create school safety plans, and to recognize students in need of help. Let me begin by presenting the 2018-19 Student Safety Report for West Windsor-Plainsboro Regional School District. I've included incidents from the 2018-2019 school year for your reference. Let me preface the report with a brief explanation regarding how the information is gathered. For every incident of violence and or vandalism, substance abuse, or weapons that take place in our schools, we must report these incidents to the state using the Student Safety Data System, or SSDS for short. So I'd like to begin with the district's mission statement, which focuses on empowerment for all learners as they thoughtfully contribute to a diverse and changing world. Each year, West Windsor-Plainsboro schools offer a series of opportunities during the Week of Respect and Violence Awareness Week. Staff and students engage in conversations and or participate in activities which promote safe and secure behaviors in schools. While those 2 weeks are key to promoting awareness about violence, vandalism, harassment, intimidation, and bullying, respecting others, all schools continue beyond October to create a culture where students feel safe in school. Week of Respect activities. The Week of Respect has been designated as October 7 to October 11. During this time, there's several opportunities for students and staff to be engaged. School districts throughout the state are required to observe this week by providing age-appropriate activities for harassment, intimidation, and bullying. So I'd like to share some of those with you. As you can see in our elementary schools, I'll go through and just maybe highlight one or two things. You have it in your report. You can see Dutch Neck. On Tuesday, they have the kickoff for Kindness tree project. We're going to engage in filling up their trees for kindness and placing that information outside one of our staff members' doors, and they'll read that kind act during the school day. So they have several other neat things throughout the week. It gives you a sense of what it will be like during the week for Dutch Neck Elementary School. Maurice Hawk also has several activities. The counselor will continue to present lessons concentrated on conflict resolution, friendship, and acceptance. And you'll see a lot of crossover here between the elementary schools. Monday is Orange. Tuesday, Orange. Aren't you glad you're bully-free school? Wear orange to school. You'll hear about them wearing blue also. So you see some of those, the sockets of bullying where they wear crazy socks. So if you have crazy socks on that day, you may want to join with Maurice Hawk School. Town Center, you can see some of the same things. They're going to do some messages over the loudspeaker, Blue Shirt Day on Monday, and you kind of get the idea. White House School will participate in National Walk Your Child to School Day in coordination with the Plainsboro Police Department, which is exciting. I was at Plainsboro Police Department today and overheard officers talking about that opportunity to engage with students next week. Millstone River, you can see some of their activities, respect challenges. They'll read those respect challenges each day during the morning announcements. And teachers are encouraged to discuss with their classes and encourage students to complete those challenges each day. Village School, principal and assistant principal visiting classrooms for read aloud. So lots of people in school and out of school are involved in these activities. Middle school activities, you can see there are lots of things going on. I ride by Grover and they've done a really neat thing on the outside. It says Safe School, I think it does. They chalked some of the bricks. It's really neat if you see it. So they're gearing up for next week. I think that's part of the Chalk It Up project that you see on Tuesday of next week. And at Grover, you can see some of the things that they're planning to do also. To wear on Thursday, they're wearing rainbow colors to illustrate the diversity of race, culture, religion, shape, size, self-expression, and all of those things that make us special in our own lives. High school activities, peer group leaders spend a good bit of time discussing with younger students. Peer group, peer leaders are seniors and juniors who qualify as part of a group who take messages. You can see some of the themes through some of the quotes that will happen at both high schools. This is High School North. You can see some of the quotes that they have. And here you see similar quotes at High School South. And both kind of follow the same pattern of support with different activities around, if you see them Monday, show respect even to people who don't deserve it. Not as a reflection of their character, but a reflection of yours. And now those will be discussions that take place throughout the building, in and out of classrooms in the high schools. So I want to read to you the definition. We read this every year. I think it's so important. We have to read and make sure that it's clear. These are the areas that we touch on as it pertains to harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And we're engaged in an investigation. Here's what we're looking for. And absent these things could create some confusion about whether it's actually substantiated or not. So any gesture, any written, verbal, physical act, or any electronic communication, whether it be a single incident or a series of incidents, that is reasonably perceived as being motivated by any actual or perceived characteristics such as race, color, religion, ancestry, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, or mental or physical or sensory disability, or by any other distinguishing characteristic. And those could encompass many different things. It takes place on school property or a school-sponsored event. And the last part I think that's underlined is really critical. That substantially disrupts or interferes with the orderly operation of school or the rights of other students. So as we investigate, we're attempting to determine does the allegation meet these guidelines outlined in the definition. Once we complete an investigation, you can see here we have 9 areas that an investigation could potentially end up as a factual finding. We know you may have received documentation that we will be moving to 2 in the next month or so. Unfounded and founded. It clears up, it takes some of the subjectivity away from the person making the investigating the report. But what you have here, the data that you will see is based on the information here. Now, that doesn't mean we won't add this as we reduce the number of findings or the type of findings. This information will be added to the report that's entered into Genesis for state reporting purposes. So here's our data for over the last 2 years. You can see the two bands. The first and the third band is September to December, and then September to December of last year compared to the prior year in December 17. You can see some of the, where you see investigations are up, confirmed HIVs are down in September of 2018, or about the same, even though investigations are out. We have a few more confirmed HIVs. That gives you a sense of what we actually, the information we get, and we're still investigating. You can see January to June, the springtime is busy. Students are busy, so we're involved in numerous investigations, and we're appreciative that people are sharing the information so that we can look into these issues and make a determination for students. Patterns and trends that we see from this information. Investigation slightly up. As I mentioned, confirmed HIVs even. HIV intentional down, which is a plus for us. That means that some of what we're getting out there hopefully is working. And we know that this is not easy work. It doesn't stop. Our students come to us each year differently, and we have to work hard to accommodate what they need. So non-HIV is up, which means we're finding less HIV. And what that actually means is maybe it's just a student conflict. So it's not always HIV as we investigate, but we do investigate. Other distinguishing characteristics. One that comes to mind is socioeconomic status, depending. You're looking at, because you may not have seen that listed in that on that definition, but that's certainly an area that we would look at if that came up. The effect that it had is it, we saw a lot of insults in writing and verbal and written insults. Unstructured activities, that could be recess, lunch, buses, even though they're supervised, they're kind of unstructured. People are moving around. And then the minimally supervised settings, that would be games, off-campus areas and things like that. So those are kind of some of our patterns and trends. The principals are aware of this, and they will make adjustments as needed. Maybe different type of security, location of the people you bring to supervise, and sharing that with coaches, with after-school support, staff members, and all of the above. Count of incidents by reporting category, you see 73 HIVs, up a few numbers, vandalism the same, violence the same, vandalism went up substantially. Weapons, 4 in 18-19 as opposed to 1. Substance abuse, 33 as opposed to 18 in the year before. If you look underneath that, it gives you a little bit of definition about what a violent incident is. It can simply be someone being pushed that caused injury. So it's not always so violent that it is injury. It could be a fight that has no injury. Vandalism is any type of, with Chromebooks in our hands, someone could vandalize a Chromebook and not think of it as vandalism, but it is. And so we have to report those things the way that we have an opportunity to in Genesis. And then weapons. I know that always concerns the public. It concerns me. It concerns our board. But a weapon can simply be, it's typically how something's used. It could be what we believe to be a typical weapon, like a knife. Or it could be a pencil that a student uses inappropriately, a rock that's thrown at someone. So we want to make sure that we keep weapons in the right perspective when we're talking about those. It's not always maybe the weapons that we hear in social media. And so we are hoping that we're continuing to keep students safe. Incident categories, this does not include elementary school, so if you try to add the numbers up, they don't add up. But that just gives you a sense of middle school and high school, what we see in terms of violence. A lot of pushing in middle school, so you can see the numbers up. Kids like to push each other, hit, push, throw things, joking, and sometimes that leads to some type of incident that could be categorized as violence. Vandalism, you can see 8 incidents. Total weapons, 4 we talked about before. They're all in the middle and high schools. And then substance abuse. And this is usually for students who we alleged to be under the influence that we send out, and then they have been positive. So we had 33 incidents last year where students were positive for substance abuse. So that's how we mark that category. Violence Awareness Week. Here's just some activities to recognize. You can see what Wyckoff, again, it's a series of activities that most of our schools will go through, and there is some crossover. You can see developmental guidance lessons at Wyckoff. Town Center, they'll have daily announcements. Classroom read alouds, Maurice Hawk, some of the same things. Morning shares in October. Village, the principal and assistant principal will go to classroom for read alouds. Mindfulness, still thinking about our goals, social and emotional. Goal 3, mindfulness activities at Village. And then at Millstone River, highlighting character education. You can see the middle schools are doing some of the same things. Some of those follow over from the first week. Many times they continue what they're doing, but you can see Campus for Peace on Tuesday at Community. And then Positivity is Contagious message board. Students will write positive messages during the Violence Awareness Week at Grover. And then the high schools still focus a lot around peer leadership, using some of the quotes to set the theme for the day in the building. Similar at High School North. Proactive programs for student development. Of course, we have school counselors, anti-bullying specialists, locations for students to report or share information with us. Not just those 2 areas. A student can go to any staff member. If there's an concern, a parent can go to any staff member. But these are proactive in the building where we're really working to spread a message and making ourselves available. Counseling curriculum that includes support for bullying, anti-bullying, so they get out to students. We include that in our Parent University program. Our student assistance counselors, assembly programs, peer leaders, character education programs, the UBHC. We added 2 this year. We hope to see lots of support in that area. And many clubs and organizations will be promoting programs about aspects of student social and emotional development. So lots of things going on in all of our schools. And our current administrative focus is we always take a look at the student code of conduct. As I said a few minutes ago, our families and our students come to us each year different, and it forces us to take a long look at how we support them, how we hold them accountable, but we also provide support in changing behaviors. Implementation of state mandates around harassment, intimidation, and bullying, review of district crisis plan, and focus on strategic goals, which we never forget. They're always included in everything we do, and that's why we start with the mission statement. And that's it. Questions?
Okay. On the incident totals for substance abuse in the high schools, what was that, page 9? Generally, was it spread over a number of different types of substances, or was there a pattern to the substance abuse?
I think it's spread out, but of course, e-cigarettes and vaping was a big issue at the early part of last year, and we were finding our way around supervising that. So, and we're still working to see that. Interestingly enough, I've been talking with the principals in high schools particularly, and so far we are in a better position, but school's 3 weeks in it, underway, and so we're excited that maybe our students are learning. We know there's lots of information in the media about the effects of e-cigarettes and electronic vaping, the whole thing, so we're hoping that has some impact on young people. So we did see a range, but I think that the bulk of what I remember students, us having to support students on is around that.
Yeah, actually, my question was also around the substance abuse numbers. Given that there is an increase in that, are there any programs that are specific to, proactive programs that are specific to dealing with some of these increases in the substance abuse numbers?
Well, I know several things with Parent University last year, opportunities for parents to come out. The same types of things was happening in school with students. We're constantly attempting to educate everyone about the dangers of vaping. We wanted to spend time with parents, showing them the actual types of vape pens and different things that they might see in their homes. And while they look like maybe computer attachments, they're not. So we did several things last year, and I know this year we're working with the UPHC to come up with plans going forward around that, and what that looks like in training. They're experienced and well-trained, so we're looking forward to what they can help us bring. Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, and just two things with that. One is it's not just necessarily the vape itself, but the tainted vape, right? So it's most of the drug offenses are marijuana-based, right? So it's not that you're just smoking a vape juice; they're smoking a tainted vape juice, right? The second component, like just from an example of training and how we're trying to evolve our thinking at Back to School Night at South last week, the West Windsor Police, along with student reps, as well as some of our district SAC counselors, actually created a bedroom on stage where they actually, during study hall period, parents were able to come in and to actually experience searching through a makeshift bedroom to understand where students are hiding it, what the products look like, substances were brought in. So trying to find different ways to educate our parents on why we have the majority present.
Last week there was a presentation, was it last week or the week before, with Matt Blaze, he came to South and it was done in 9th and 12th grade, where he talked about like natural high and how, you know, you can do things to help yourself, like exercise and eating right, and, you know, building relationships with peers, and that was unfortunately there were not a lot of parents there, but but it was a really powerful, good presentation that was done both for parents and for students, for high school students.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Earl? Oh.
Yeah, maybe I missed this, but how does substance abuse fall into the definition of a HIB? Like, it seems like that's pretty different. That's like a personal thing for a student versus HIB, which is about multiple students.
So the report just, it gives you information about, they're two separate. So they are separate. They're just a part of reporting when we put it there. So we have to report all of that. It's a part of the student safety data system report.
Got it.
You have to put.
So the 33 cases of substance abuse were not cases of HIV. Were not necessarily cases of HIV.
Correct.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Earl. At this point, we have an opportunity for public comment on the report that Mr. Earl just presented on violence and vandalism and harassment and intimidation and bullying. Is there any public comment? Okay, seeing as there's none, I need a motion to approve the report. Isaac and Rachel, are there any questions?
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Chang.
Yes.
Mr. Flores.
Yes.
Ms. Hertz.
Yes.
Ms. Ho.
Yes.
Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield.
Yes.
Mr. Zhang.
Yes.
Ms. Juliana.
Yes.
Ms. Case.
Yes. So that will adjourn our public hearing. I'm going to go a little bit out of order on our agenda tonight, and I'm going to turn it over now to our patient high school representative.
So South has also had a very busy and exciting past 2 weeks, starting off with freshman Kavya Kara winning the Mercer County Tournament Championship for the girls varsity tennis team. It was also very empowering to see 1,400 high school South students participate in the walkout to support the global climate strike. Last week, a few student council representatives also met with Sodexo, the district's food service, to discuss ways to make certain vegan and vegetarian options more available and to find ways to work together to be more sustainable with trash and waste. Freshmen and seniors participated in a program with Dr. Matt Bellis to recognize positive relationships in their lives and to find ways to experience natural highs. South's Back to School Night is this Thursday, October 3rd. The High School South Administration, Student Assistant Counselor, and West Windsor Police Department will be running a program called Keeping Children Safe at Home and in School, as Dr. Adderhold explained earlier, during the study hall periods in the Playhouse throughout the evening. And finally, Pirates are looking forward to the week of October 18th, which is Spirit Week, and to the only football game played at South this year. The homecoming dance will be on Saturday, October 19th.
Thank you very much. As members of the Board of Education, we take tremendous pride in the collaborative work that we do with our superintendent and his administrative team. But when Dr. Adderhold's educational leadership is recognized beyond our district, it gives us a moment to pause with even greater pride. Tonight, we are honored to have a number of distinguished educational professionals in the audience. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Thomas Smith, who is the superintendent of schools for the Hopewell Valley Regional School District and currently serves as the president of the Mercer County Association of School Administrators. He's going to make a presentation.
Sure, thank you very much. Thank you for letting us crash your board meeting this evening. We've been called distinguished, and it might be the first time we've all been called distinguished. But thank you for that. Good. Thank you. Joining me is Dr. Scott Rocco, who's also the president of the New Jersey Administrators Association, as well as the superintendent of Hopewell. Hamilton. You'd like to Steve Cochran, the superintendent from Princeton, Mr. Ross Casson from Lawrence, and Nancy Gartenberg from Montgomery, all here tonight. What would bring 5 superintendents out tonight on a Tuesday night? It's because of Dave Adderhold and his work, not only in our county, but being recognized in the region. You may or may not know that Dave was recognized as the Mercer County Superintendent of the Year. With that, they qualified him to enter into the regional recognition, and he has been recognized as the Central Jersey Superintendent of the Year. So with that, we congratulate Dave for all of his hard work. As you mentioned, I guess how proud you are. We're very proud because in recent memory, this is the first superintendent for Mercer County to be recognized in this honor. So congratulations to Dave for all of his hard work. I don't know if you want to say anything real quick.
Actually, I'll take a moment. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to go at the start of your board meeting. I know how busy they can be, but I just want to read that. We're going to present this to Dave in a second here. Certificate of Achievement. This acknowledges that David Adderhold has been recognized as Superintendent of the Year by the Mercer County Superintendents Association and Central New Jersey Regional Superintendent of the Year by the New Jersey Association of School Administrators. And I just want to congratulate Dave because it's well deserved.
Will be recognized in Atlantic City at the workshop, if you can do there. Right. Superintendent Mike Nitty from Ewing sends his regards here. He doesn't like to drive at night.
Or at any meeting on Friday.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out. That brings us to our first opportunity for public comment. The board invites thoughts and reactions on agenda items and items of concern from members of the community who are present. Each participant is asked to give his or her name and address prior to making a statement, which will be limited to 3 minutes. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer.
Good evening, and first let me thank you all for being board members. My name is Steve Taylor. I live at 14 Prospect Avenue in Plainsboro. And I'm not a public speaker, so please forgive me. The reason I'm here today, or this evening, is to talk to you about climate change. I just heard from the young lady about 1,400 people walking out of school, and I'm here to ask you to be proactive in teaching the kids about climate change. We don't want a situation next November 4th, the day after Election Day, when the wrong candidates have been elected. And these candidates may think that climate change is a farce. They may bring out things that will cause our climate to go downhill quicker than what we think is happening. We don't want that situation to happen. We don't want a person like Greta Thunberg to come here and say, why didn't you do something about it? I want you to be proactive. I believe the curriculum should center around climate literacy and climate activism. By climate literacy, I mean that students should learn what causes climate change, the CO2, the methane, the history of climate change, what scientists predict will happen in years to come. That's one aspect of it. The second aspect that students should be educated upon is what people do to regulate climate change, such as the Paris Accords, what laws are being promulgated to control climate change, what regulations are promulgated to cause climate change. Students should be educated about all of those things. And then the third aspect of climate change has to do with the candidates who will become our leaders next year. What is their position when it comes to climate change? What's going to happen if the administration now stays as it is now? The students should be aware of all these things. Is it 3 minutes?
You did.
Can I come back?
We have a second opportunity for public comment at the end of the
Or you mean
meeting.
at the end?
Yeah.
Could I just finish?
Please just finish up.
Just finish up.
3 minutes.
Okay. The year 2020 is a presidential election, and the students' future is at stake.
Thank you.
So I hope you'll take some action.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? All right, that will close our public comment section. If you wanna, yeah, I'm going to just turn it over to the superintendent.
My apologies for going out of order here. When Michelle asked if I had any comments, I thought she meant specifically to my 4 colleagues, and I bypassed the superintendent opportunity for public comment. So there was something that procedurally I just need to announce this evening, and then I'll make a couple other brief comments. With respect to bond sales, as you all know, we have passed a referendum for a little bit over $114 million. I think it was at 114,875, if I remember correctly, We had an initial bond sale a couple months back, I want to say 35 million. So that left an outstanding balance of 79,875,000. Last Wednesday, the board had previously taken an action for us to go and put a sale out for the additional dollars based on the advice of our bond counsel as well as the advice of our financial advisor looking at favorable market conditions. The Board of Education, we posted, advertised, and a public auction was held last Wednesday. I'm pleased to say that we got a very favorable rate. The Bank of America and Merrill Lynch, it's Bank of America Merrill Lynch, purchased the entire bulk of $79,875,000 for an interest rate of 2.392417. That is below what we had predicted at the time of the referendum. So what that ultimately will do is to save taxpayer dollars on future interest rates, future interest payments down the road. So we're very pleased with the net interest cost that we received. That's an average aggregate of the total amount of sales and the way it was purchased, but that's the average cost at 2.392417. And while we don't have to accept a board resolution with respect to the sale of the bond, we are publicly required to at least make an announcement about the sale of the bond and the rate that was achieved. So I wanted to make sure that I did that. Just to my colleagues that were here, to have 5 of superintendents come out on a night off is not something that I look past easily. I want to say thank you to them publicly, to Tom, Scott, Ross, Steve, and to Nancy, and I'll make sure I have an opportunity to thank them personally on Friday when we have a county roundtable meeting. One of the things we're very fortunate about in Mercer County is we have a group of superintendents that believe in working together. In the last 3 years, we've taken on several shared initiatives, specifically around equity, around social emotional learning, and around opioid addiction, with joint programming around all, and then focused with an overlay on a lot of work in the area of equity with 2 retreats the last 2 years with all Mercer County administrators. And that is a rarity across the state of New Jersey to bring counties together and to share resources. We've also supported each other collectively in times of crisis, and unfortunately in the last year, we've had loss of 7 students, including in Montgomery. We've sort of annexed Montgomery historically from Earl Kim's time there back in when Judy Wilson was in Princeton and Victoria was here in WWP, and Montgomery's always sort of played a role. It's always been sort of Mercer plus Montgomery. So 7 students, though, and that required crisis team support. So we've worked really hard together to take things on, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that a lot of that's been in the name of our former colleague, Steve Mayer, who you all know had passed in Robbinsville. So a lot of this work has been done in Steve's name. So wanted to thank them again publicly. Also wanted to just note, today we learned of the passing of retired police chief Richard Furta from Plainsboro. I had the pleasure to work with 3 police chiefs in my time here in district, in Plainsboro specifically, and we learned that Chief Furta passed recently, and I just wanted to take a moment to send my condolences to Chief Furta's family and the Plainsboro Police Department. And just lastly, to the gentleman that spoke around climate change, as you may know, the school district doesn't take a position on political positions with respect to candidates, but with respect to climate science, we've taken an active role in educating our youth, providing forums and opportunities for students to protest, provided safe opportunities for students to walk out and have their voices heard. We have green teams at every building. We have sustainable practices happening in all of our schools. We have sustainable initiatives happening throughout our district, from our food services to our building and grounds to our recycling programs. We believe in the climate science, and we believe in ensuring that we're elevating our students' voice in that process and educating them in the science. Not a political science, but the science of what's happening. We recognize that the temperature is stated to go up 1.5 to 2.5 degrees by 2050, but it's raising at a point where it's going to hit that by 2030. We recognize that 200 endangered species die each day in the world on our planet, 200 species extinct every day. We understand the science, we understand the research, and we talk actively about what's happening. So thank you for your comments.
That will take us now to the voting portion of our agenda. Can I please get a motion on the administration items 1 to 5? Martin and Tony, are there any questions on the administration items?
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Flores.
Yes.
Ms. Hertz.
Yes.
Ms. Ho.
Yes.
Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield.
Yes.
Mr. Zhang.
Yes.
Mr. Cheng.
Yes.
Ms. Juliana.
Yes.
Ms. Keish.
Yes. Can I please get a motion on the curriculum items 1 and 2? Dana and Carol, are there any questions on the curriculum items?
A quick question. On number 1, under professional development, it says I&RS best practices. What does I&RS refer to?
Intervention and referral services.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Hertz.
Yes.
Ms. Ho.
Yes.
Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield.
Yes.
Mr. Zhang.
Yes.
Mr. Cheng.
Yes.
Mr. Flores.
Yes.
Ms. Juliana.
Yes.
Ms. Keish.
Yes. Can I please get a motion on the finance items 1 to 10? Taylor and Louisa. Any questions or comments on the finance items?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Ho.
Yes.
Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield.
Yes.
Mr. Zhang.
Yes.
Mr. Cheng.
Yes.
Mr. Flores.
Yes.
Ms. Hertz.
Yes.
Ms. Juliana.
Yes.
Ms. Keish.
Yes. Could I please get a motion on the personnel items 1 and 2 plus the green addendum? Carol and Isaac? Are there any questions?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield.
Yes.
Mr. Zhang.
Yes.
Mr. Cheng.
Yes.
Mr. Flores.
Yes.
Ms. Hertz.
Yes.
Ms. Ho.
Yes.
Ms. Juliana.
Yes.
Ms. Keish.
Yes. I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge the retirement of 2 instructional assistants. Leslie Hayes, who currently works at Town Center and has given us 25 years of service to the district, and Diana Messina, an instructional assistant at Maurice Hawk, retiring after 20 years in the district. I wish them well in their retirement and thank them for their devotion to our students. Could I please get a motion to approve the minutes from September 17th? Rachel and Dana? Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed or abstentions? Are there any liaison reports? New business? That brings us to our second opportunity for public comment. 15 minutes will be provided at the end of our meeting for public comment. All statements shall be made to the presiding officer. This public comment period, okay, that's typo. But anyway, 3 minutes. Your public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. Are there any comments? All right, seeing as there are none, can I get a motion to adjourn? Taylor and Louisa. All in favor? Aye. Thanks for coming out. Have a good night.